Hey. Welcome to another episode of the GameSmith. In today's episode, we're turning our attention to farming scatter terrain. And we're going to be starting with wheat fields and haystacks.
This might possibly be the simplest scatter terrain you will ever build. If you're a novice tabletop crafter, this is a great place to start the hobby. If you're a veteran crafter, you'll instantly recognize what we're doing here. But do us a favor and watch the whole video. You might see something new. What we have here is a turf fiber doormat I found at the local hardware store. You can see the fibrous material looks like densely packed grass. The color of the doormat is the same as weed stalks that are ready for harvest, which is perfect for tabletop terrain. I'm going to use an 8x8 inch or about 20 by 20 centimeter square template to measure the size of the field I want to use on my game table. Of course you can use whatever size you want, but I've chosen this size because they'll fit inside the split rail and wattle fences we made in video 26. If you haven't watched that video yet, please check it out. Next we're using a metal ruler and a sharp utility knife. I'm going to cut the doormat to the size and shape we want. I'm only cutting 2 of these out because I already have 2. I suggest that GMs have 4 of these grain fields for their game table in order to create a full farm field effect. Please be very careful while you're cutting the doormat. The blade might slip out of the groove as you're pulling the blade through it. Now we need to remove the excess fibers from our field so it doesn't shed at the game table. I'm going to use a steel wire brush since the fibers are so densely packed together. I'll start at the outer edges and then brush the top several times. Next, we want to remove the fibers from the outside edge that are sticking out, and we can do that with some scissors. Be careful not to cut away too much. You don't want to change the shape of the square mat. We need to save all the excess fibers we've removed from our field. We're going to use them soon and possibly on a future project. The next step is to strengthen the outside edges of our field. We can use some regular PVA glue that we place on the border between the base and the fibers. This will reinforce the hold on the fibers so the edges won't fray at the game table. I can use my finger to smooth out the glue and push it into the fibers, and then we let it dry. When using the large fields at the game table, we typically have to place our miniatures on top of them to show how they're moving through the field. While that works perfectly fine, it does ruin the illusion of moving between the tall grain stalks and perhaps hiding in the field. We can cut the larger fields into strips and space them out so the miniatures can fit between them, and then we can use the rows as cover and to reduce our lines of sight. For our haystacks, we're going to use an egg carton made from recycled paper. We could use these deep pockets where the eggs are held as the foundation of our haystacks, but I like the size and height of these pillars in the middle of the egg carton much better. We have 5 cardboard pillars, but I'm going to only make 4 stacks out of them. We have to cut out the part of the egg carton we're going to use for our build. We don't have to cut the foundation to the exact shape we need right away. We can start big and whittle our way down to the size we need. Next, we cut the pillar to the size we want and make sure that the bottom is vaguely flat. We don't need precision measurements here because we're going to glue our cardboard pillar to a 1.5 inch or a 4 centimeter washer. We can use hot glue on the inside of the cardboard pillar so that when we place it on the washer, gravity will pull the glue down and secure it to the base. Make sure the 2 parts are securely bonded before moving on. We don't want the piece to come apart at the game table. Next, we want to mix some glue like Mod Podge or PVA with some brown paint. We want to create a mixture that will reinforce our cardboard and disguise its original color at the same time. I'm going to use another paintbrush inside the washer to hold the haystack while I paint it with our glue mixture. Make sure you get the mixture into all the nooks and crannies as well as covering the metal base. The bottom edge is the most important here since that's the most likely spot our build will be seen at the game table. Now we get to use the fibers we saved when we cut our fields out of our doormat. If you don't have enough, you can always cut more or scrape more fibers from the doormat. Next, we're going to use some tacky glue to cover our egg carton pillar. I'm going to use a brush and add a heavy layer of tacky glue to our base. I suggest using tacky glue rather than regular PVA because it's much thicker and will grip more of the fibers that we're going to add. When we start to add the fibers to our build, I suggest you add as much as you can rather than a thin layer. It's easy to get more fibers if you need them, and you want to make sure you can cover the entire base. Don't worry about trying to shape the fibers at this point, simply press the fibers into the glue. When it comes to the top, just add a dollop of glue and then add the fibers. When you're done, you're going to want to let this dry overnight so that the glue will firmly grip the fibers. When the glue is dry, we can use some scissors to shape our haystack. If the glue isn't dry when we're cutting away the fibers, they'll likely pull free and ruin the haystack's appearance. Don't cut away too much, and don't try to create a smooth appearance. We want the haystacks to look like they were piled with a pitchfork. When you're finished, make sure to save the excess fibers for a future build. For our last step, we're going to need a 70-30 mixture of water and PVA glue. The glue needs to be very runny, but not so runny that it loses all of its cohesion. We put the mixture into a spray bottle so we can create a glue mist and spray it on our haystacks. I'm headed outside to spray our haystacks, and then I'll let them dry. These type of wheat fields or grain fields have been used by tabletop wargamers for, well, as long as I can remember. The first time I saw this type of field was in the mid-1980s, when I joined a group playing La Grande Armée, a Napoleonic-era wargame. Many crafters have tackled this topic, so I'm hoping that my perspective on wheat fields and haystacks has shown our viewers something useful. I wanted to create a quick and easy version of fields and haystacks that even the most inexperienced tabletop crafter would be able to achieve instant success with. Experienced crafters could definitely improve these builds by livening up the bases and adding washes. If you'd like to support us here at the GameSmith, there are a number of ways you can do that. If you haven't already subscribed, now is a great time. Hit the thumbs up button and give us a like. Ask a question or leave a comment below. Join us on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Check out our website at TheGameSmith.org. Read our free monthly blog and listen to our podcast. Finally, you can join Patreon, which gives you access to content like our podcasts and exclusive videos. Your support in any form is much appreciated. Until next time, I'll see you at the table.